Hey guys, what's up? I'm CJ and welcome back to my galaxy and welcome back to today's film club. I know guys, I haven't filmed this one in quite a while. I haven't actually uploaded a video in a week or two. I'm really sorry about that. I've been super busy, but we're going back to my normal film or upload schedule now. So expect more videos from me in the future. But today, what we're watching for Film Club is Home Alone. Like I said in my last Film Club video, I absolutely love this film. This is one of my favorite Christmas movies. I always watch this one every year and I watch it multiple times. So, you know, we're gonna go and watch Home Alone and then I'm probably gonna go and watch Home Alone again, just not for a video. It's a great movie. There are some things about it that I'm like, well, how did you miss Kevin? Like, how did he end up, did you not see his face? Anyway, we're gonna get into that once we watch it. There are some just plot points that you have to kind of just suspend your disbelief, and that's just the reality of this movie, and that's fine. It doesn't make it a bad movie. It just makes it like a bit funny. It's just a bit of a comedy, you know, and that's kind of what the genre is. I'm pretty sure it'd have to be a comedy, right? It'd have to be. I don't remember what exact genre, but it's like a Christmas comedy movie. So that's what we're going to be watching today. So once again, without further ado, let's get into watching Home Alone. Kevin is such youngest child energy.
The dope was whining about a suitcase. What am I supposed to do? Shake his hand and say, congratulations, you're an idiot? I'm not an idiot. Oh, really? You're completely helpless.
This family is horrible to little Kevin. That's so mean. Why do they all hate him? That's why. I think this is so dumb because when you eventually recognize the fact that someone's not there, like you recognize faces. It's a good explanation, but at the same time, like, wouldn't you realize? This is like every kid's dream, just eating a bowl of ice cream.
What do you mean?
Guys, I'm eating junk and watching rubbish. You better come out and stop me.
This is kind of insane. Like, when is this, the 90s or 80s?
And the other object has become large in his throat.
No, he's just home alone.
He's a child.
Go over to the house and see that he's all right, just to check on him.
He can't be home alone. He's a small
You want
child.
us to go to your house just to check on him.
Yes.
Not Santa
Talk to you
smoking.
For a minute.
Yeah, if you make it quick, Santa's got a little get-together he's late for.
Okay. I know you're not the real Santa Claus.
What makes you say that? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, he's got a little glass of milk with him. Is that a gun? Does he have a gun? What? How is it possible he thinks that this is a good idea? It's not great. The way that these two literally get destroyed by an 8-year-old and they get so angry that they just attack him. Like, he's hanging up on the door, the poor thing. Like, he's a child. Pick on someone your own size, you know? That's literally the saying. Just pick on someone your own size. Guys, once again, he's a child. He's 8. A very smart 8-year-old, but still.
Nice move. Always leaving the water running. Now we know each and every house that you've hit.
So, I recorded the first part of this video 2 weeks ago. Clearly, my hair is different. I cut my hair, and instead of acknowledging the fact that I cut my hair, my own hair, I cut it myself brilliantly, I'm gonna talk about Home Alone. The first one, not the second one, because obviously we have to watch them in order. We have to go Home Alone 1, then Home Alone 2, and then ignore the other remakes that they made in the early 2000s. So, we're just gonna acknowledge 1 and 2. And if you like the rest of them, get out of my comment section. No, you're allowed to like them, but I'm gonna judge you harshly. But let's talk about what I thought about the movie overall. And it's that I still think it's an incredibly iconic movie. It's one of, if not my favorite Christmas movie of all time. I just really love the comedy of it, and I think one of the things that really makes it better is that I cannot suspend my disbelief for how Kevin ended up being home alone, because it makes no sense at all. But that's kind of what makes it funny, is that how did they manage to, there's so many different things about the whole, like, how Kevin got left. They explain it really well, because they really do say, like, this is exactly how it happens. But then at the same time you're going, okay, but are you, and maybe I'm looking back because it's like the 90s and I'm thinking I was born in 2003, so I didn't grow up, you know, without people paying attention. Like, kids were not allowed to be home alone in the 90s. The 90s was different back then. So maybe a little bit of my perspective is looking back and being like not understanding the 90s. So let me know if you were a child in the 90s, let me know if it was like different back then for you. But at the same time, like, would you not see that your kid isn't there? Like, you will, like, you'll see familiar faces and be like, I've forgotten something. I've forgotten, where's the face that's supposed to be there? And I don't know if it was the sister or the cousin that counted them, but the kid who counted the rest of the kids counted everyone, including the neighborhood kid, which is the explanation of why they thought Kevin was there, because the count was like, they counted everyone. Wouldn't you recognize that there is a kid wearing something you don't recognize there? I feel like if, like, you know, if one of my family members had like some jumper or whatever on, I'd be like, oh, that's new. You'd make a comment on it, you know? So seeing a neighborhood kid that looks different, you'd make a comment on it, and then the kid would turn around and be like, you're not Kevin. So you'd go looking for Kevin. I know they're supposed to be in a rush. And also I think it was the flight attendant, they counted them going onto the plane. There would have been one person missing. They would have mentioned it. That is the biggest thing that I'm like, did they lose like Kevin's passport or something? Because they counted, they had to have, I don't think that was explained in the movie, that that definitely was not explained. But suspending my disbelief, impossible for this movie, makes it 1,000 times funnier. And if you guys think it makes sense, I do not think it makes sense at all. But let me know what you think of that whole bit in the comment section. Let's talk about the characters in this movie, right? So there's the mother, there's Kevin. We're going to talk about him last. The mother, definitely, she's got to be like a mother. She's like a baby boomer, like a mother in the 90s. That one, I know that much. Because she's very, it feels so unfair that Kevin gets punished when everyone else is just like harassing him, and it makes me feel really bad. That's not fair to Kevin. And the mother is just so harsh on him, and just like sticks him in the attic, forgets about him. I wouldn't say she's necessarily neglectful. In the second movie, I would say she's neglectful, but we'll pay attention to that neglect when we watch the second movie. But in the first movie, she just does not pay attention, you know? And I said I was going to talk about the second movie in the video about the second movie, but, you know, one time is a mistake. The second time, you should be paying significantly more attention. Significantly at all times. And yet they still forgot him. The mother is quite something. And then also the father doesn't pay a whole lot of attention either, because at least one of them should have known that Kevin was not there, should have been counting all the kids several times. And there was one point in the movie where the dad was actually holding the hand of one of the girls, one of his daughters, and running with her. And I'm like, okay, so you're paying attention to some of them, but not all of them for some reason, especially not the littlest one, because I feel like when it comes to the littlest one in the family, as someone who's like an older sister, you look around and go, where's the little one? And grab their hand. Like, that's what you do. So what happened to Kevin? Like, I need to go back to this. The whole family is insane. And the character, the big brother, right, the oldest brother, he is also so bad. And I think it's really cute though at the end when he says that he's glad he's okay or whatever. He said it in his own way. I can't remember his exact words, but it's like at the very end of the movie, when they've all arrived back home, and it's like, oh, full circle moment. He actually is a loving big brother, you know. He's just been acting like siblings. But my God, he's so horrible, especially in France. Like, there's some things that he does, like eating Kevin's pizza and whatever, that I'm like, okay, that's siblings for you. But then in France, when he's talking about, like, to one of his sisters, I think, that, are you not worried about Kevin? And he's saying that they live in, like, the safest neighborhood in the city or whatever, and that he's not worried at all. I'm like, come on, dude. Maybe he's just a teenager, but dude, that is horrible. I'd be worried. Like, what is with you? One of my biggest pet peeves with this movie is that they are surrounded by French people, and the French, look, my people aren't French people. They're in France, and they're being so incredibly American, like Americans. I know a lot of my audience is like full of Americans. Guys, seriously, there's a reason why Europeans don't like you, especially the French. I'm pretty sure I hear a lot of people saying that the French don't like Americans. Yeah, it's for a reason. It's because the McAllister family is, you can see it in this movie. Exactly what Americans do is that they speak English and expect the other people to speak English because they can't speak French. And there is one point where the dad tries to be like, is there anyone here who speaks English? And then he just like shouts at them, like all frustrated. Like, I'm like, I get it that you're like scared that your son is home alone, but this is counterproductive, especially with when they first leave the plane and get to the French airport. They kick this woman off of one of the phone booths, and and she's like speaking French, and then they're just like getting louder at her, like, why don't you speak English? And like they're just shouting at her, and I know it's supposed to be like, oh, rising tensions and whatever, and I'm like, it's like all I can hear are just like stupid Americans acting like everyone else speaks English. Guys, they don't. And it just makes it worse for themselves, because they're just like, it's, you know, if you just like attempted and didn't shout at people, it wouldn't be as counterproductive. I think it's supposed to be funny that they're English speakers in like a different country speaking a different language, but it might have been funny at the time, but I feel like possibly it didn't age great. So, you know, if you watched the movie when it first came out, did you find it funny? Do you still find it funny? Or is it just like a stupid American thing? You know, you just watch it now. If you're European, are you watching it and just thinking, man, Americans are so dumb? Because when I watch it, I'm just like, guys, Americans, let's calm down. I think another character that kind of irritates me, that is like supposed to be comedy, but I'm also like, that's weird, is the uncle. The uncle is so weird. He does have his times where I'm like, that's funny. He mentions that when the mother finds out Kevin was left home alone, he goes, well, if it makes you feel better, I left my reading glasses behind. That's pretty funny. He does have his moments, but then there's other moments that I'm like, my God, he's just like the annoying uncle at every family function that you just don't want to have to speak to. All right, so let's talk about Kevin at the very last bit. I'll kind of talk about Kevin and the people who are breaking it. I can't say the word burglars? That word. The people who break into the house, the criminals, those guys, I'm going to talk about them at the same time as Kevin. I'm just going to like put their characters together and talk about them at the same time, right? So Kevin, 8-year-old little boy, we know this, they say that in the movie that he's 8. When he's going grocery shopping, he's like, lady, I'm 8, why would I be here alone, you know? Because he's like lying and trying not, like, he still wants to be home alone and not have, I guess, CPS called on him or something. I think this is something that people talk about with this movie all the time, is that this little 8-year-old is so smart, and his entire family seems to think that he's not. And I think a lot of the themes in this movie are like, don't underestimate kids, because kids have all these plans. They have like brilliant creativity. And I think that is a really good message, as long as, you know, you're watching it with your parents and they're like, you can't actually be home alone, you know, like there's a little bit of responsibility there still, but it's like kids can be really creative and think outside the box, where adults can underestimate kids, right? And that's really good for a family movie. I do think it's absolutely wild that the neighbor did not notice that Kevin was home alone, or at least maybe he did and he was just like keeping an eye out just in case. You know, it's the 90s, so maybe he thought that there was a reason why he was left home alone, so he was just like keeping a little bit of an eye out. But when you're seeing a kid just walking around like that, and I guess it is the 90s, so people are used to just seeing kids walk around, but I feel like you would notice that something is possibly off, because you see when your neighbors leave the house. You honestly, like, I don't even interact with my neighbors that much, but I can usually tell if they're like off and on a holiday or something. You notice like a car's gone, you notice that people are leaving the house, even if the cars don't leave like they did in this movie. Like, you know that people aren't there. You notice that like the lights aren't on in the house, like that sort of thing. And then you're only seeing the kid in this household leave, and you don't know that he's, I don't know, that'd just me, that might just be me, but I would have noticed if a kid was just roaming around, you know, like home alone. I just find it wild the neighbor didn't notice. But yeah, Kevin gets dunked on so much, did not deserve any of what happened to him in that movie. He was told that he was incompetent, and he was like, he couldn't do anything, he couldn't even tie his own shoes, and all of this stuff that I assume, this is the thing with like younger siblings, or like the youngest sibling, is that they tend to not be self-sufficient, because everyone like dotes on them and coos at them like when they're little kids, and will just look after them. So they kind of get like the princess treatment, and like they can do the thing, they just choose not to do the thing, which is what I think Kevin is like in this movie, is that it's not that he can't do it, clearly, because we see him home alone the entire time, the entire movie. It's that he's choosing not to do any of that. Like he could, but you know, why would he, if he has all of these older siblings and his parents to do all this stuff for him? He's the baby of the family. And then there's the criminals interacting with Kevin as well, and I just think it's completely wild that they were just so insistent on like just breaking into this house. And I know they say in the movie that it's the house that they picked that street for, and that's like the movie's explanation of why they were so adamant about like trying to steal from that house, is that like it seemed like the richest one on the block or whatever, right? And they just chase after this little kid, where it would be so easy to just, you know, lock him out of the house, you know, just grab him, lock him out of the house, you know, or, you know, call the police and be like, you know, there's this kid home alone, and then wait for the police, like wait a night for everyone to be gone and for the police to take this kid away, call CPS. I don't know. I don't know. That's another thing. Like, how did no one notice? I know I talked about that with the neighbor. How did no one notice? I feel like you'd notice. But why don't these criminals just like call CPS? I don't know. And just wait. Does that make sense to you guys? I don't know. I feel like there was more of a logical explanation than harassing a little kid. I guess they're criminals, so they don't think super rationally. They just wanted to steal stuff. But at the same time, I'm like, there were better ways. There were better ways to do that, and then they were attacked by an 8-year-old. Don't underestimate kids, obviously. Moral of the story, 8-year-olds can and will injure you if necessary, so don't harass children. That's basically what I got from Home Alone. And also, pay attention to your children. Don't leave them home alone even by accident. Be careful. Like, do a head count at all times, every 5 minutes, because that's how you don't leave behind your own Kevin. The criminals definitely were those like stereotypical idiots, you know, the two idiot characters, and like the smart guy and then his sidekick. It was definitely that sort of thing, and it's kind of tropey because I feel like it's been overdone now, but back then I don't think it had been done too much, or I feel like it was like probably the trend at the time, so you probably wouldn't have noticed back then that's what was happening, but in hindsight you're like, okay, everyone was doing it, you know, with the idiot characters. So it's not bad. I actually think it's pretty funny, especially if because the movie's been so well done, it doesn't feel tropey. It just feels like it's been done well. And I like the characters. They have their own personalities. They have their own position in the narrative. Sometimes they just throw characters in there and just like, the idiot characters, haha, funny, but like these characters have their own motivations and they're three-dimensional characters, so it's not too tropey, and they interact with Kevin in the way that the characterization works for them. Overall, really good movie. I love Home Alone, and you know what's going to be happening next week for a film club? You guys voted on watching Home Alone 2, so obviously we're going to be watching that next week. I'm going to be back every week again for film club, and we're going to be watching some Christmas movies, and I actually have a collaboration I'm working on for the Christmas period, and probably moving forward it's going to be like a once a month, maybe once every 2 months, but you're going to get more details on that in the future, like in the next week or two, and I'm going to do like a film club announcement about it, so stay tuned for that, guys. I know it sounds like a little secret, but a collaboration is coming, and it's about the film club, so pay attention, turn on notifications, you know, if you want to hear more information about my film club going forward and how it is adapting and how it's growing and changing on my channel. So guys, make sure you comment down below. Let me know what you thought about Home Alone as a movie. Did you prefer this movie, or are you guys more excited about Home Alone 2? I personally really like Home Alone 2. It's a very interesting movie compared to the first one. Well, they're completely different, but we'll discuss that in the next video, obviously. But I feel like I might prefer Home Alone 2, but we'll see, because I actually don't remember. We'll have to compare and contrast. What do you like most about Home Alone? Who was your favorite character? What was your favorite scene in the whole movie? Let me know in the comments down below. So that is it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it, and it really helps out my channel. But once again, guys, I have been CJ, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.